Special shout out to our sponsor, Qualia. Qualia is the category-creating digital closing platform used by thousands of lenders across the country to seamlessly work with their title and escrow partners. By working better together, Qualia is powering lenders to deliver a differentiated closing experience for their clients. Through real-time communications, closing status updates, and workflow management, Qualia brings lenders together with home buyers and sellers, title and escrow agents, and real estate agents for a secure and seamless closing experience. Qualia is proud to have been awarded the Housing Wire Tech 100 Award for real estate, as well as CB Insights FinTech 250 Award. Discover how you can work more efficiently with your title and escrow partners at qualia.com/innovators. That's QUALIA.com/innovators.
Hello, everyone. If this is your first time joining us, welcome to the Mortgage Innovators Podcast, where we deliver fresh and hopefully entertaining insights on all things mortgage and innovation propelling our industry forward. My name is Michael Guidotti of American Pacific Mortgage, and every Tuesday you can find our rotating group of co-hosts, or what our producers have dubbed the Innovative Five, who all share their own unique connection to the industry. This week, I have the pleasure of being joined by Sue Woodard.
Hey, glad to be here.
Margaret Chiavini. Thank you both so much for being on. Really, really excited to talk to both of you because you had the pleasure of attending something that I think is going to have a huge impact on our industry in the coming year and really years to come, which was the MBA Annual Conference last week.
We did. It was awesome to be there. I mean, there was, I think I heard 3,500 people that made it there. And part of the fun was just, the tagline was together again. And it was truly great just to be together again. I got to actually, see Margaret and give her a big, huge hug and, a couple of times actually. And so it was interesting the first little bit. Both Margaret and I went to Empower, which is on the Saturday. And so Margaret's going to lead us in on that. But what was very interesting is I found on Saturday and even on Sunday when the full group started to come together is there was this weird thing, a little bit of like kids coming back to school after summer break and being like, okay, that person looks different and will they remember me? And I've got my new shoes on and they're kind of uncomfortable. And, it was a little, people were like, I don't know, a little awkward to start out with. And then it seemed to kind of, loosen up. I don't know, Margaret, did you experience a little bit of that too?
Yeah, I think I was so excited to see everybody. And of course, seeing you in person, that was, what a way to kick the whole conference off, But I know exactly what you mean. Many, many people said that, gosh, I haven't put on a suit in, nearly 24 months. And we were saying, gosh, these high heels, they sure aren't as comfortable as I remember. But as Sue said, the conference kicked off with the Empower event, and it was really a terrific event. It's an event that really, although men are very, very welcome, it's really designed to celebrate women and to really showcase and celebrate what's possible. It's very motivational, wouldn't you say, Sue? And two things that I loved from the Empower, it's an all-day event. We had a speaker that was a 3-star general. Her name was Nadia West, and she is this gorgeous African-American woman who graduated from West Point. I think, Sue, the very first African-American woman ever to graduate West Point. And she was actually, if I'm remembering correctly, she was the Surgeon General for the Army. And right. She was fantastic. She had tours in the Middle East, very difficult, tours of duty. And her whole message was, get rid of I can't. And she was saying, not only can you, but you must. And she was really, I think, challenging everyone to look at where can you make a difference, where can you contribute, and you can do it. So I loved that. And then we had, this year's a very, very special year for the MBA because we have the very first African-American woman who is the chairman. And she is the fourth woman ever in what did they say, Sue, 106 years,
Yeah.
107 years, the
Yeah.
history of the association.
Yeah.
And so it was a panel of the four women that had been, they called it past, present, and future. So it was the past female chairmans, the present one at the time, and then Christy, who was going to be taking the reins on Sunday. And it was just fantastic, their perspective, their, their careers. So it was a great event.
Yeah, it was Regina Lowry, Deb Still, Susan Stewart, and Christy Furco. And I remember Regina Lowry being the first. I remember she said there was this whole debate of like, do we call it chairman or is it chairwoman? Like, what do we do? So it was awesome. And I think that's like a perfect lead in talking about Christy Furco, because she was obviously front and center for a lot of the conference. And she's just an incredibly unique individual. And she actually had a lot of firsts. She was the first Black woman to lead a major U.S. mortgage corporation at Flagstar, the first to lead, to run the mortgage operations at Wells Fargo, and then the first chair. And her point was that she wants, she's proud to be the first, but she wants to ensure that part of her legacy is that she's not the last. And so she had just a lot of really things that she brought forward, throughout the conference. Two big initiatives that she talked about. One was about expanding minority home ownership, which she's been working on. Susan Stewart also had that as a big initiative, but also to improve employee diversity in the mortgage industry, because our industry should reflect the communities that we serve and are helping to build. So I thought she was just a great presence. On the first big kickoff day, Bob Brokesmith, CEO of the Mortgage Bankers Association, he's just such a personality. There was a video that they played where it was kind of like the old school, kind of the black and white, like instructional video that we used to watch like in elementary school, or at least I did back in the day. And it was kind of like, trying to tell people how to conference, because he's like, you don't have a mute button now, and they can actually hear everything you're saying about them. And yes, you do need to get dressed below the waistline, because you're in person now. So he was, he has such a good sense of humor, but I think most importantly, really talked a lot about the things that were accomplished during 2020, with the Mortgage Banking Association, and what is poised to move ahead. I know he was talking about, one of the things about when they came up with the refinance, the adverse market refinance fee. Remember when that whole thing was proposed and it was, hit the industry? The Mortgage Banking Association actually pulled everybody together and the industry sent 86,000 letters to Congress through the Mortgage Action Alliance, got the attention, we got the delay, and then they canceled it all together. And so you can see the power of what happens when everyone truly does come together. So it was inspirational. He said, we've still got our work cut out for us, and there's a lot of work to do. They're working on ensuring that some of the infrastructure bill doesn't include tax hikes that would impact the industry adversely or the communities that we're serving adversely. And also he really is, supporting the MBA's efforts, in terms of improving minority home ownership and workplace diversity as well. So really good stuff from Bob Brokesmith.
Yeah, he's so fun to listen to, because he can take very complex topics and really make them easy to understand. So right. I always enjoy listening to him.
I think that's awesome. Well, and it ties in so much of what, a lot of us deal with, even dealing with like borrowers, right? You got to take complex loan situations, like break it down. So when you have people at the highest level that can do that and really resonate to a room of 3,500 people, I think, that's really important. So right one of the things too that we, that I've heard, from not being there, but all the great feedback that's come back is around some of the things, and I know you just started to touch on it a little bit, Sue, around underserved communities, but was something I think is going to was talked about a lot during, I think, the volume hike. And so really, and I think you mentioned that there might have been something around some things that's going to be happening within appraisals.
Yeah, I can touch on a couple of those things, and you all can jump in with, kind of how this will impact the industry. But there was a session with HUD Secretary Marcia Fudge and FHFA Acting Director Sandra Thompson. Really good sessions, a lot of the similar themes. They talked a little bit about, the pandemic and loan forbearance, just a variety of topics. But two of the big things that came out of particularly Thompson's speech is she really talked about how there's going to be expanded eligibility for the refinance or refi now and refi possible programs. They're really aimed at helping low income borrowers. And she spoke very strongly about wanting to help, ensure that those communities were being served, and we were expanding credit availability. And Margaret, talk a little bit about that, and then I'll share the appraisal headline as well.
Yeah, I think that this is really important for everybody to understand as we prepare for 2022. I think that our leaders and we in the industry, we have to get ready for that. That is a big initiative that not only the administration has, but Sandra Thompson, as the acting director of FHFA, if we're not serving those communities or have a strategy or a plan, I think we're going to miss the boat. And I think that there'll be a lot of consequences that may not be positive. So I think this is sort of another, we talk about innovation and the purpose of this podcast and everything. I think this is just another example of where we can leverage innovation and mortgageinnovators.com in how do we accomplish that? How are we going to get to those borrowers? How are we going to be able to expand the home ownership? So we're already in action rather than somebody coming and saying, hey, you're falling short. So I think that's a really important message that certainly I took away from the conference and, from her talk.
Right on. And yes, the other headline that Michael was alluding to, and people may have heard this by now, but it was actually a moment where there was like this, big wave of applause because she announced that they're incorporating desktop appraisals into the selling guides for purchase loans going forward, where that was kind of a pandemic accommodation. It's something that they're going to allow because appraisals have been such an issue, just kind of with the backlog and timeframes, and the appraisers have had a chokehold on things, right, Michael?
Yeah, 100. I gave a virtual round of applause. So I wasn't there in person, but when I heard about it, it was like, yeah, a little round of applause from here. And I think for loan officers, lenders, that's such an important thing because as a spike in volume happened during the pandemic, what was impacted, one of the most things impacted was, again, appraisal turn times, the amount of time taking to get the appraisals actually out there on the property. So the impact of a desktop appraisal is really leveraging technology to do a kind of a cliche word, but a desktop appraisal. You're not actually physically going out to the property. You're using information from tax records, from the MLS to really do the valuation on the property remotely, which is going to, again, speed up our turn times a lot on getting those appraisals completed and people ultimately into their homes. So I'm personally very excited about that one.
Yeah, I think everybody was. It seemed to be like the buzz of the conference, for a little while, at least until Pitbull started playing on the midway. I don't know, Margaret, did you go to that?
I did not, no. But I heard it was great.
I was such a big Pitbull fan until suddenly I'm a huge Pitbull fan. But
Yeah.
yes, it was the buzz after that. But the other thing it was another really good session with Mike Fratantoni and Marina Walsh, where they talked about kind of the economic outlook. And again, hopefully people are keeping up. The MBA and the Mortgage Action Alliance just do such a good job. And so hopefully everybody listening is part of the Mortgage Banking Association and is part of the Mortgage Action Alliance, because you just get all this information. I don't think there was anything necessarily shocking in their forecast. I think everybody knows that, refinance volume is going to come down. Interest rates are going to go up and purchase volume is going to come up. Now, interestingly, Fratantoni said that purchase volume is forecast in 2022 to increase another 9%. It's a forecast, so who knows? But it would reach record levels next year to 1.725 trillion. And they're actually anticipating another record year for purchase volume in 2023. However, the overall volume is anticipated to drop by 33%. And so let's pause a moment on that. 33% is a lot. And every lender that I talked to, kind of offline in different meetings and so forth, said that their strategy was going to be to grow market share. Well, there's a problem
Yeah.
with the formula, right? We can't all grow market share. And so I do think that this is where kind of going back to innovation and how are you going to be able to do more, potentially with less as margins get squeezed. This is where innovation is front and center and comes into play about how are you innovating to protect your margins and your people as the pump is primed for volume to drop fairly significantly.
Yeah, and if you think about that, Sue, if the overall volume is going to be down about 33%, adjusted for refinance, that's probably in the 40 to 50 range, and that could, that's a significant impact, especially for any shops that are not purchase centric. Everybody did a lot of refinances because there simply were a lot of them. But that could hit you really hard, and you need to get ready for it because it's definitely coming. And innovation is a way to almost insulate a little bit of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and also too, right, have those kind of levers in place that might not, that really allow you to leverage your human staff, more efficiently and effectively by having some of those, technology levers to pull to really help that volume. So I think, I want to get both of your kind of key maybe takeaways that lenders should be thinking of heading into 2022. But for me, even just from not being there, but all I've heard, I think one of the most refreshing things for me is we've talked about, on previous podcasts about, all the things that lenders have been putting into place and where that maybe falls in line with some of our counterparts, the title companies, the appraisal companies. So now hearing that even at, the MBA conference, that things in other realms like appraisals are getting more kind of technologically advanced. Yeah. I think that that's just going to make it so much easier for our industry as a whole to move forward, because now we're all kind of coming along together versus this, different portions of the loan process, where we're all at different levels. I think it's going to help us maybe balance out a little bit, which I think is going to be great.
Couldn't agree more. And I will tell you another takeaway that I had from the conference was when strolling through the vendor hall, I heard from many of the vendors there that are introducing so much innovation into the industry that they had very, very willing and eager listeners in the lenders. I think you see a lot of times in years past where, people are kind of chasing down, the lenders, and this was one where the lenders were very attuned to how they may need to innovate, because they do realize they've been standing in, a money machine kind of just, doing this for a while. And as we are heading into a market where, the customer experience, though, is going to matter even more. I mean, all the indicators out there are saying that the customer is expecting more. Well, we know that as lenders, there's going to be a little less, profit to be able to serve them. And so innovation is really the only answer. So it was exciting to see that a lot of lenders were really digging into some of the solutions out there, willing to talk about investing into some of the solutions, whether it would be, I think about Qualia, our wonderful sponsor of this podcast, and how easy they help make, consolidating all of that squirrely title information. Again, it's something that helps, streamline, make a better process, make you more, more profitable, and protect you as those margins start to squeeze. So, so it is, to your very good point, you do have to start to look at what are the solutions. Yes, you're going to go through a little something in the investment and the implementation, but looking to the long term is what the wise lenders are doing right now.
Yep. Yeah. Well, Margaret, what was one of the key things that you take away that lenders should keep in mind, coming from the conference heading into 2022?
It's really along the themes of 2022's got to be a year where efficiency is going to be more and more important. And then if the other thing that I took away is that if you're not a purchase-centric shop today, you really need to figure out how that's going to be a very fast priority for you to shift, because the drop in refinances could be very, very impactful if you're not ready for it. I love what people say, breakdowns. Breakdowns are only a problem if you didn't anticipate them. But if you anticipate a breakdown, then it's not that big of a deal, right? So if you're already thinking about how am I going to deal with the fact that at a macro level, the purchase business is going to be up 9%, but the refinance business is going to be down, let's say 43%. And now how do I plan for it? Kind of like, Michael, what you were saying, are there ways that the technology or innovation can help me temper the need for having to, lay off people, that kind of thing. So preparing, that was really my big takeaway, is to be prepared for this year. And change is great if you're ready for it and if you see the possibilities.
Yep, embrace the change.
Embrace the change, exactly.
I would add on to that. I know this is something people have probably heard before, but the Chinese character for crisis is 2 brushstrokes. And one of the brushstrokes represents danger, and one of the brushstrokes represents opportunity. And so it is, to your good point, Margaret, it is being aware of the risks and of the danger and having your eyes wide open, but recognizing the opportunity and utilizing innovation to run towards the opportunity.
I love
Couldn't
that.
have said it better myself. And I think that is a perfect transition. We are just coming up on our time for today. So for all of our wonderful listeners, we want to thank you for listening to today's episode. I want to thank my wonderful co-hosts, Margaret and Sue, for sharing their MBA takeaways. And if you like what you heard, make sure to subscribe to the Mortgage Innovators YouTube channel or wherever you podcast. Also, great news, the Mortgage Innovators Conference 2022 will be back in person for an experience you do not want to miss. We can't wait for you to join us May 2nd through 4th, 2022 at the Hilton Anaheim, California. For the latest information on registration and sponsorship opportunities, head to mortgageinnovators.com/conference. That's mortgageinnovators.com/conference. Until next time, have a great one.